Welcome back to SV Ramble on. We're going to continue on the Windlass project with some really big fat cable that I get up underneath where we sleep at night and tear apart the bed, put in the cable, and put it all back together. I'm also putting in the anchor washdown pump, and I got to run a piece of PEX plumbing pipe up there for the raw water supply. This thing is going to go up underneath the V-berth also. This is our, 4 gallons a minute? Yeah, 60 PSI washdown pump. It's a SureFlow Pro Blaster. I like the SureFlow pumps. So I already crimped the lugs on one side. And if you haven't seen me do that before, I've done it 100 times, and go ahead and go back and watch one of those videos. I'm pulling number 2. This is 2 AWG marine grade wire from Anchor Marine. It's got to go all the way up to the pointy part of the boat and all the way back to the back end of the boat where the batteries are. And I will have the, I think it's 125 or 150 amp circuit breaker that comes directly off one of the main battery terminal blocks, one of those big power lug block things. So I got the relay, and this is going to be the block for the ground wire coming from the battery and out to the negative side of the windlass motor. This is the, I've already got the PEX adapter, shark bite adapter fitting threaded into it, and this is the bottom side of that Jabsco deck fitting up by the windlass buttons. This one is that's the windlass, I guess that's the down button, and then over on this side of the locker is the windlass up button. These have already been installed. You can see I epoxied the coring. Yeah, those have all been bedded in with butyl tape. And this one is where our chain falls down into the chain locker. And here's our 275 feet of G4 5/16 chain. This is the diesel tank fill that comes through the deck fill topside. But I got a washdown pump here I want to install, and I've got a pair of Seacocks. This is the one that supplies the water to the flush toilet. We got 2 layers of shelves in the V-berth here in these weird little side compartments. I'm going to mount this thing to that shelf, and what I did here was screw it down, and I used some sticky tape. I got to route plumbing and electrical up through these holes here by the diesel deck fill. Got 2 holes right here, and I'm going to run it up this side. That's the electrical for the washdown pump, and then it's going to go up to where I showed you where the deck connection for the anchor washdown. All right, this is the ground wire for the windlass, and the hot wire is connected to the relay. I dropped the nut for this thing, and I thought it was a 5/16 standard 5/16 nut. It went under the fuel tank. It probably rolled all the way to the middle underneath the fuel tank. All right, I'm going to see if I can recover it from underneath there. An inspection mirror and one of these little mechanical grabby tools, and I got that nut out from underneath the fuel tank. It only fell back about 6 inches underneath. Yeah, it's not the same thread as a regular 5/16. So I got the 90 on the bottom of this riser that goes right into the deck connection, and I just use these push connect fittings. Good and tight. This is the same fittings we use all over the plumbing in the boat with the PEX pipe. So one thing I did here, I just cut a piece of 3/4 inch vinyl tubing to act as like chafe gear, and then feed the pipe through that. Same with the cables, the windlass power cables. I ran them through a bigger rubber tube. There you go. Pushed, connected. All right, so I got the wire pulled up into the chain locker, and also the plumbing and the wire for the DC wiring for the pump. And I'm going to take the DC off of the relay, the hot and negatives, where it hooks up to the windlass power. I'm going to get the pump hooked up first, and I just need a short length of that vinyl tubing to make the connection to the PEX. And the PEX is sticking out right under here. It's hard to see, it's a little white on white. I'll finish this up. There's a raw water strainer on there. The heat gun helps with fitting the vinyl tubings over the hose barbs. So one thing that helps on these really long hose barbs is a little spot of dish soap. And just power that thing on. And again, these are those AWB. They're all stainless steel, non-perforated hose clamps that we pretty much use all over the boat. They don't rust. All right. Cool. I can put this compartment back together now. Okay, so this is non-reinforced. It's like a radiator hose, but it fits through. It's like an 1.5 inch hole saw. And I'm just using this as chafe gear for the wire as it passes through this hole here through the bulkhead. This is the bulkhead between the lockers and the fuel tank, and I got to pass through this bulkhead. So yeah, that, and then down through the floorboards. All right, I got the wire down in the bilge, and I need to pull it up through the floor and into the battery box. And when I originally built the battery box, I built a floor on top of the existing floor. So now I got to drill through 2 layers, and it's a hassle. And I've got a Imtra 150 amp circuit breaker for the windlass, and that's going to supply power to the windlass as well as the raw water pump up there for the chain washdown. So right here is where I'm going to put the circuit breaker. And good Lord. Yeah, it's a tight fit down here. This thing's going to go right here next to the battery switch and look like that. All right, so I've got the wire from the pump pulled up into this locker here, and I'm taking the hot lead from the pump. It goes through a 15 amp fuse right here and connects to the hot lead that controls the windlass control locks. And this also goes to the ground stud. Still got to do the foot pedal wires. Those will be coming up here in a little bit, but those also go to these little tabs on the windlass control box. All right, this is the deck hose from the cockpit shower video, and this is also our hose for the saltwater washdown. So obviously we don't have an anchor on the boat, but if we did, I'd be able to wash it down. So this thing puts out some pretty good pressure. This is 4 gallons a minute, 60 PSI. It pulses because it's a diaphragm pump. Yeah, that's it for this phase. Join us next time. I'm going to finish wiring up the windlass foot buttons. I'm going to try and get that bracket to the welder and finish getting all my pieces cut up so I can get that thing welded. And then we'll mount the windlass and get the rest of the wires hooked up. Thanks again for watching. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Hopefully you found something interesting.
Oop.
Lovely. Why are you still filming?
Because of that.